Hey, how are y'all doing? It is Carolina Weather Authority meteorologist Joshua Nagelberg with your midday Wednesday update on the tropics. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest, and invite all of your friends and family who are in the Carolinas and Southeast to come check us out. We're going to keep updating you on the tropics, the heat, and any other major weather going on. And also, we continue to have articles on our CarolinaWXAuthority.com webpage for you to check out. Mike's put out 2 amazing articles I think you really need to read to kind of get a scope on what we've been talking about. And as meteorologists, you know, we love to look at extreme weather and do our best to add value to that. But in some cases, it's just not the easiest thing in the world to do. And I'm going to tell you more about why we do have this uncertainty here across the Carolinas. So from our latest update from the National Hurricane Center, we do not yet have a named tropical storm in the Caribbean. I'll be honest with you, I thought it might happen by now, but I'm not 100% surprised that it's not there just yet. Remember, this is kind of early in the season for Cape Verde systems to get ramped up, but at the same time, we're still looking at a very active season. So if it's not this one, there's definitely going to be more threats to us down the road. We've been forecasting that throughout the entire year. So right now, what we have is a tropical wave that has tropical storm winds with it, tropical storm rains with it, but no closed-off circulation. So the Hurricane Center is doing their best in forecasting this, and right now the trends have shifted a little farther west than yesterday with a threat to Florida, but also each and every one of the islands of the northern Caribbean. And eventually, if you do extrapolate these lines of uncertainty, they do open up places from southeast Louisiana all the way over to North Carolina. If this storm were to form farther north, then the right side of this track would look a lot better. The same can be said on the other side of the coin. If it goes farther to the west, then we have to worry about Hispaniola, Cuba, and places like maybe Mobile by the early part of next week. So, let me have everybody catch your breath real quick, and let's talk about what we can talk about, what we know right now. Currently, we've got a large area of tropical storm winds impacting the Leeward Islands, which are under a tropical storm warning, and soon the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico by this evening. As we get to later tonight and tomorrow, I think much of Hispaniola does have the threat of tropical storm conditions and flooding rains, so this is not going to be a pleasant storm for anybody. And then tropical storm watches are out for the southwest coast of the Dominican Republic, as well as the central Bahamas. By the way, the southeast Bahamas as well could be threatened with tropical storm conditions later on tomorrow into tomorrow night. Eventually, I think these watches and warnings show up across South Florida and the northwest Bahamas and maybe the Cuban coast as soon as maybe tomorrow evening or Friday morning. So what does that mean for us in the Carolinas? Well, we still don't quite know. And despite our best estimate at this still potentially coming up the East Coast, we don't know yet if that's really going to happen or if we're going to have something that comes up through Florida and eventually we get the remains of it. But what I do think you ought to do is be prepared because, remember, a couple days ago, Hurricane Hannah came out of a large wave off of Cuba and western Florida and was a strengthening Category 1 storm, which I think caused a lot of damage in Texas in little as 48-hour time stretch. And the water temperatures we have over here and the wind shear that we're expecting over here are not all that much different than they were Friday and Saturday of last week in the western Gulf. So a lot can change in a little amount of time. That is what we're looking at in a La Nina tropical season, and we're in an active tropical decade or so anyway. So a lot can change in a short amount of time, so we want to make sure you guys are prepared for that. So currently, what we have on the map is this Potential Tropical Cyclone 9, and I'm going to actually zoom in for you all to take a look at it here real quick. And what you'll notice is that it's a very big area, but it's very disorganized. And the models are being run on this central area of showers and storms down here, which does not yet have a closed circulation. However, models are running off of the assumption that this is where the tropical storm is going to form. So they take things a little farther south and west than they did yesterday. But what I'm seeing over here is another area of showers and storms blossoming in the northeast Caribbean, and even a third area of showers and storms forming over the northern Leeward Islands and the southeastern Virgin Islands. So the odds that this thing is where our potential Isaias forms is not really that much greater than maybe this area of storms here or this area of storms here. So once a development does take hold and we see a central location where storms are going to form, that's what the models are going to latch on to and forecast. So we are definitely not out of the woods here in the Carolinas just yet. I mean, what if this area takes over and forms into a hurricane up here? You know, look, I'm not wish casting that on anybody, but I have seen this happen quite a few times before. I've been a meteorologist for 17 years now, and I will tell you that to just kind of foolishly put all of our chips in this one pot right here, that this thing's going to form, I don't necessarily agree with at this point. So let's take a look at what's going on. Here's a wide view, by the way, of the tropics. And this is our system of concern right now, Potential Tropical Cyclone 9, future Isaias. Another wave behind it, not looking too impressive. One behind that, which might have a better shot at forming. Here's actually a circulation center here. But this area is getting kind of killed off by dry air aloft, and that's not unusual this time of the year. Closer to home, we do have showers and storms offshore with a trough digging into the western Gulf, an upper low forming over South Texas. And this is what we need to watch for as far as steering currents for our future system. Because what's going on is we've had a large area of high pressure over the southeast and right across the middle of the Atlantic all the way to the Middle East. And this trough is finally going to put a dent in it and allow whatever forms to make a right turn at some point. We don't know yet if that's going to happen before the weekend or during the weekend. If it's before the weekend, then I think the Gulf of Mexico has a bigger chance of having something. If it's over the weekend or early next week, then the Carolinas, I think, have a bigger threat of something occurring. Wow, this is kind of cool. Look at me down here. Got a nice red stripe. Anyway, having a little fun there. So we can look at models. I'm not going to show you guys global models in the interest of time today, but I will show you the spaghetti plots. And again, this model run was earlier in the day. We've already got something over here. But who's to say it's not going to form up in here and come in this direction? So yes, the consensus does take the storm over Hispaniola on Friday morning. That should weaken it somewhat. And then the question is, does it emerge and spend a lot of time over water and then threaten southeast Florida? Or does it spend some time near Cuba and then come up this way and run out of real estate to develop? Or does it try to bounce off the northern coast of Hispaniola and come up through the east coast, kind of like what we saw with Dorian? We saw with Floyd, and we saw with Hurricane Matthew. And you know what? This track has become very common, so I am not writing out something coming up the coast. What I will say, though, is because the system has taken a little longer to consolidate into a tropical storm, it's got a little bit less of a chance of developing quickly, and our chance for a major hurricane, I think, is very, very slim. That's not to say, though, that we couldn't have a Category 1 or 2 hurricane, which would cause problems. If you remember Matthew and if you remember Florence, you definitely are no stranger to Category 1 hurricanes. So, just start preparing at this point. We could have conditions as soon as Monday night on the table in the Carolinas, and of course Saturday night, Sunday across Florida, and still a lot to be determined out of this. Intensity forecasts are not very impressed right now, but they're very, very disheveled. We see a ton of disagreement, which we don't like as meteorologists, but still some push for this thing to strengthen at some point up in here. This is the rapid intensification model, shows that there's still a shot at becoming a Category 1 hurricane hitting Hispaniola out of the southeast overnight and tomorrow morning. That's possible. That's kind of far-fetched, but it's possible. Another look here at the GFS ensemble. The trend has been farther west, but you do see kind of a little bit of a right hook here and then a left hook, and in kind of a way that we're going to try and avoid major land. And if that puts the system up in here, then we definitely see what could be a better chance at getting things together. And I'll show you why. This is the ocean water heat content and surface temperatures in Celsius. 30 degrees Celsius equals 86 degrees Fahrenheit. 29 is 84. We really only need about 28 to maintain a hurricane. So there's plenty of that down here in the Bahamas and plenty off the coast of the Carolinas. The water's almost as warm as it's going to be all season, I think. Ocean heat content, really good down in here, but our system's going to be perhaps dealing with more land masses and then some pretty favorable spots where it could develop and intensify pretty steadily in this area as well. When Dorian got ramped up, we had high heat content over here. East of the Bahamas, we don't have that just yet, but we do have it over the western Bahamas, just to give you kind of a frame of reference. How does that sound? So I can't tell you where this thing's going to go. Here is where our plane is right now, and again, it's finding tropical storm force winds aloft in the neighborhood of 45 knots, which is 50 miles per hour, maybe a few thousand feet up. So we definitely have a tropical storm in the wind and rain category, but we don't have that closed circulation. But if you look at the satellite image here, and this I'm going to okay, so we're not getting data as of 10:20 in the morning. It's trying to consolidate over here to the southeast of St. Croix and St. Thomas, but there may be another circulation trying to get going up in here. So I think we'll have a tropical storm by tonight. That's what I'm thinking. But the big question is it here or is it up here? And where it ends up forming is where the models are going to latch onto it and produce a new forecast. And that very well may change here in the next 24 hours. So that's pretty much all that I have for you guys. This is a wind shear map. The reds indicate higher wind shear and more unfavorable conditions for formation and development. The greens are more favorable, so it's actually in a pretty good spot to develop right now. Pretty soon it'll be a little less favorable, but then gets better over the Bahamas, I think, by the end of the week. So a lot can change at this point, and we're going to keep you posted on the latest. Again, storm system coming up through Florida eventually could wind up in the Carolinas. A storm going into the Western Gulf or falling apart over Cuba would be our best way of escaping mayhem, but there's definitely still a chance something comes up the East Coast right here. Our articles will tell you more on what we think is going to pretty soon be Isaias, and we're going to keep you posted as well with more videos coming. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll talk soon. Everyone have a great day, and stay dry.